Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yes, I didn't know that. I thought
I
I could
guess
just
you
call you in the
could.
morning and that was good. You were
Yeah, that's
good.
the way I am.
Yeah. Well, how are you doing, Charles? You look like you're in St. Louis there. We were trying to do some
Yeah,
logistic.
St.
Yeah,
Louis.
we were trying to do some logistical planning, get him a car. Too bad you don't live up here. I know a guy who sells cars, specializes in cars under $10,000, and he goes to auctions, hooks them up to this diagnostic stuff, and checks the engine compression and the oil compression, all that kind of stuff to make sure it's good. It's a sound engine, checks everything, and then he brings it back and does a reconditions it in, and gets make sure it looks good, and then he will sell it with a 1,000-mile warranty if anything goes wrong. 1,000 miles. I mean, he's. I would buy anything from him. We bought a truck for $2,500 from him, and we there's this guy that was a friend of Amy's, kind of homeless, and he kept trying to borrow cars, and he was doing some work for us. So, we said, well, you can work this car off, and buy it from us. So he owns it now. But anyway, yeah, you were getting, it'd be nice to get a car and a hot plate or a refrigerator or something. That was the issues.
Yeah, I'm
But
hoping that when I go back to New Orleans, they'd put the team in an Airbnb instead of hotel
yeah,
because, like, I don't think our team is gonna grow that much that quick. So just get like a 4-bedroom house Airbnb, and that way we'd have a
oh, that'd be
kitchen, so
fabulous.
I don't have to spend so much money on food.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I'm looking to get some type of vehicle after my next stay in New Orleans, which ends like January 3rd.
and yeah, and Charles is very patriotic too. I mean, he's calls it a team, and he's proud that they were told by when somebody asked them, "Are you from?" I said Trehan or some Trehan, or are you from Trehan Logistical
Trahan,
Services?
Trahan,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he said, yeah. And he said, oh God, you guys are amazing. You're the best we've ever had. That made you feel pretty good.
Yeah, I was happy to hear that. I mean, it's good job security and means that the owners are probably going to get better contracts. And if they get better contracts, then we get better pay. And
Well, I know. And that's the other thing. He might be getting a promotion at some point. So anyway, I'm going to see if I can find a pen that works. Oh, here's one. I always have about 30 pens, and I always can never find one of them. Well, I'm anxious to hear either a Roy dream or a Charles dream. If Dawn comes, I've been working on her dream, but we'll see. I guess it's we'll see. But anyway, Charles, you said you had some dreams. You want to? Erie has been having thyroid issues, and he's very tired at night, which is fine. But he's okay. But anyway, why don't you go ahead, Charles? And Roy, if you have one, why don't you email it to me?
I mean, I had a dream recently I had a dream just last night that I wrote down. But I had one recently where I was like, and it made me think of a dream I'd had longer back where I'm just in a bathroom and it's like flooding up and the water's like up to my chest, and I'm not concerned that it's flooding. I'm just concerned that the water is like going to go under the door into the different rooms of the house. So I throw some towels down, like, I don't know how I do this through the water, it's so deep, but I put towels under the door, but I guess the gap is too big under the door and the towels just get sucked under. And I think I think the water was coming out of the toilet. I don't really know. I can't really remember. I just know that the bathroom was absolutely flooded, and yeah, I didn't really care about that. I just didn't want water to get to the other areas of the house. And had previous dreams where the bathroom's flooding or the room is flooding, not always bathroom, but I noticed that it's about to go down the vents into the lower levels, and I hurry up and grab a towel and like soak it up around the vents so that the water doesn't flow into the vents. And that's happened a few times.
Well, it's a very interesting follow-up dream to the stingray dream. You know, I mean, the fact that now instead of there not being enough water, there's too much. You know, and yet, this is so interesting. I mean, this sort of apathy that the ego has about this happening. You know, I mean, and our concern now. This is just amazing. You're in a bathroom. Okay. Now, what happens in the bathroom? I mean, the bathroom is a place of cleaning. It is a place of cleansing. I mean, cleansing out our, getting rid of waste material and washing ourselves. It's also a place where there's water everywhere. You know, there's the toilet, the sink, the bathtub, the shower head, you know, and so and water always represents this very mysterious substance that you can't divide, you know, and it's in my active imagination sometimes, you know, nothing's happening, but the only thing that's happening is somebody has a pitcher of water in an absolutely clear pitcher and they're pouring it out, you know, or it's pouring into a container. You know, sometimes there's half of it's dirt, half of it's not, but it represents the unconscious. So now we're in this room of both cleansing and getting rid of crap, you know, in our body. So there's aspect that it's sort of two things, you know, washing our bodies, cleaning our teeth, you know, but also of purging ourselves of that within us that's no longer useful, you know. Now, whenever you dream about toilets and how they're stopped up and stuff, you know, when I dreamt about them, and I have a dream about it, it is several, you know, it represents to me some aspect that I totally reject. You know, there's something that just, you know, is totally rejected. You know, although what Marion Woodman said is if you're dreaming about a stopped up toilet, she says it means you're full of crap. Flush it out. Now, I don't know whether that applies here, but let's just say what is the most absolutely shocking thing about this dream. It's up to our chest in unconsciousness. But our main concern is it doesn't infect the other rooms. In other words, that the unconscious that is filling up a room this room of cleansing, doesn't that it stays in this container and doesn't go out and infect the outer world. You know, that it remains in a place. We don't care. I mean, we say that in the dream, we don't care if the room's filling up with water. We just don't want it infecting the other rooms, you know. And so there's this very mysterious thing that we, you know, typically what you do, if you are, let's say that you're in a, that your yard is flooding, okay, and you're in your house. You always put something under the door jambs and stuff to keep the water from coming in. Have you ever had this happen, Roy, where there was some kind of
yeah, hurricanes. Yeah,
hurricanes?
I've had
Yeah,
3-4 foot of water in the house.
Yeah, you're trying to keep it out.
Yeah, you're trying. And if you get too much water, it ain't going to work.
Yeah, yeah, because it's too strong or whatever. But you know, you just put it in there and you're trying to keep it out. But in this case, we're trying to keep it in, you know. So now what does this say about the dream ego? The dream ego is in this room, and I think the most what do they call it in Britain? The water closet, you know, the WC, you know, it's the room of water, the room of the unconscious. I mean, the kitchen and this room of water are particularly odd rooms in a house, you know. I don't know, you can think of some other ones, probably living room, bedroom, all have specific qualities. But the fact that the room of water is filling up, it's up to our chest. And what did you say, Charles? You said that you're not concerned about it going over your head. I mean, can you repeat what you said about that? I didn't catch that.
I was just saying that I wasn't concerned with that room being flooded, the room I was currently in. I was concerned that it would get into other rooms.
Yeah. Now, was it still filling when it was up your chest? Was it rising,
Yeah,
or
it
was
seemed
it?
like it was. Yeah, I think it was. The water was flowing in from somewhere.
And you're thinking it's coming up since you don't have any faucets on. You know, no faucets are running. You're just thinking that the toilet is overflowing. That's something toilets do.
Could be.
Have you ever had that happen? Where the toilet, you know, it's the drain on the toilet is stopped up, and so nothing is going down, but the toilet keeps pumping water in it and just keeps up and up. You're just there. If there's anything in the toilet, you're panicking, you know, because then all that soiled water gets all over the place. But in this case, now the other thing is it is connected to the lower realms, you know, and so it's this place from you know, that's connected to the lower realms is it's almost like a spring, you know, and the water is going everywhere. Okay, now what does this say about us? I mean, we are in the room of water. It is filling up with the unconscious. We don't seem too concerned about it, and yet our main concern is that it does not infect, or let's say, let's just put it like this way: it doesn't get the other rooms wet with this substance that, particularly in dreams, represents the unconscious. You know, something like that, or the contents of the unconscious. What do you think, Roy? It's a very interesting dream.
Yeah, for me, the bathroom and water's like feelings and emotions.
Mhm.
So, I mean, for me, it would be, I would be trying to compartmentalize my feelings and emotions.
Mhm.
That takes considerable effort, and it's probably, doesn't have a lot of future to it. I mean, it's not gonna be a win-win situation. You know,
That's
that's,
very interesting. That you're trying to compartmentalize the feelings and emotions. At least it is that unconscious uh, stuff is things that happen to us that we have no control over, and we're trying to contain it in one room. You know, we're going to contain it in one room. And now, when did you have this dream, Charles?
I had that dream, I think 2 or 3 nights ago.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is a very puzzling dream. Okay, I'm just trying to think. I mean, the thing is, the dream ego is as is trying to contain or compartmentalize this flooding substance. It doesn't want the flooding to go out somewhere else. It's containing it in here, and yet we're up to our neck in it, but we don't seem concerned about it. And yet we're making this strange. Now, really, how does this help? How do we get out of that room? I mean, apparently we're not too concerned about leaving the room. I mean, the only thing you could do is to keep it from going out, and then try to come up with a strategy to drain it out, and then open the doors. But I think the idea is, and I think this agrees with what Roy just said, that we seem to sense that this flow is going to overwhelm anything we do to abate it, to make it less out of control, totally out of control. There's nothing we can do to make it less out of control. So, the only thing we can control, or we think we can control, is that it doesn't go out into the other rooms. And this is such a contrast to what we would normally do. I mean, normally what happens is what Roy experiences in a hurricane, is we are trying to keep the uncontrolled unconscious, which nobody has control over, its nature, from entering the house, which is that aspect of the unconscious, which is, I mean, of consciousness that is trying to keep its head above water. This is what happens with people who are schizophrenic. They can't keep their heads above water. They become immersed. I mean, that's what Jung told James Joyce, is that your daughter is drowning in the water in which you swim. As an artist, he's swimming in water that is voluminous, but he has control over his ego, so he can. Hi, Dawn. We're just discussing this dream that Charles has. Just kind of summarize it, as he's in a bathroom. Do you know where this house was? Or whose
It
house it
seems
was?
like my aunt and uncle's house.
Right. Well, again, it's the mother's house, and we're in the bathroom. Now, the bathroom's on the first floor, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we are in the bathroom. It is filling up with water. The water is up to our chest. We're not concerned about that water being up to their chest, which is a little remarkable. But what we do is we go down into the water. Oh, is it the same dream he posted on Facebook? Did you post that on Facebook?
No, this is a different dream.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, then at that point, he goes underwater, tries to plug the holes. Like, okay, here's an analogy. You're in a boat, there's water coming in, so you try to plug the leaks. Now, in this case, you're in the you're pretty much in the lake, and you're trying to plug the leaks out of the lake into other rooms. I mean, you're in a boat, the boat's leaky, so you try to either bail it or you try to plug the leak. But in this case, we're trying to keep as Roy says, compartmentalize. He's thinking of feelings and emotions. I would say feelings, emotions, and just as feelings and emotions are, is that aspect of awareness which ego has zero control over. It just happens to us. So this uncontrolled, and it also represent the the two functions that are considered the P functions, are intuition and sensation, because in intuition and sensation just happen to us. We have no control over. So all we do, if we're an intuitive or a sensate, or if we're not, even if we're not, the sensate and intuitive functions, all they do is record what occurs. I mean, we have an ability, like a snake has the ability, this amazing snake with his forked tongue, doesn't smell, doesn't taste. It senses molecules in the air, and this isn't really the sense of smell. It is a strange, like the shark navigates and the dolphin navigates with sound waves. The snake is detecting not odors but molecules in the air, and it knows it can triangulate with the forked tongue where it is. What it does is typically it bites, a poisonous snake bites an animal, and then it runs off. So it's going to die far away, but it can follow it with its forked tongue. Its forked tongue tells it where it is. But anyway, the idea of what just happens to us is the sensate and intuitive functions. Now, the feeling function is a little bit different. The feeling function is usually is not necessarily emotions. Now, emotions are what are called affect. They are also something that occurs to us, an affect. And it usually has something to do with the fact that something happens to us. Okay, affect. I mean, here's our affect for you that I always heard about. You tell me what you think of this as an affect. Someone hears that. Okay, this is actual occurrence. The president goes to Andrews Air Force Base, and all these servicemen who were killed somewhere are being returned to Andrews Air Force Base, and he's out there with the parents, He's talking to them and they seem rather calm, you know. And he goes up to the general who's standing there and he says, well, everybody seems pretty controlled, you know. And he says, they're not. They're not. You watch what happens when that C-130 lets down its thing and those coffins start coming out. And when it happens, total bedlam. You know, I mean, mothers run up and hug the coffin and you know, now this also, somebody told me this, there's another example, is you hear, you know, your mother or your father is very sick, you know, and they're near death, you know, and, you know, you're trying to cope with it and deal with it. And, you know, it's a little overwhelming, but you're somewhat coping with it until it actually happens. At that moment that it happens, everything changes. You know, there's just this free fall, you know, into the affect. Okay, there's other, you can think of other affects, but that's not really the feeling function. You know, the affect is a tremendous surge of instinctive emotion, as Roy put it. You know, the feeling function has more to do with valuing. If you're a really good feeling function person, you don't ever get emotional. I mean, you're a master at it. I mean, what you're a master at is sensing other people's emotions. And also you're a master at relating to them, you know. I mean, that you know, in my wife's case, she's a feeling function person. Everything has to be expressed in terms of relationship. She does not want to hear any conceptual things at all. If you're going to talk to her about anything, it has to be in terms of how does this person feel about this? How does he feel about that? You know, and if you bring her abstract concepts, she can't deal with them. But anyway, so let's just say that this room really represents an uncontrolled. You can go through. It is affect. You know, it is things that just happen to us, and that we have no control over. Ego is in this room. It also represents the dream maker and the unconscious, and we're in this room of uncontrolled things that ego has zero control over. And but ego is very busy in that room. Okay, what's ego very busy in the room doing? It's not. It is trying to contain. To not ruin the other rooms with this wetness, you know. But what is it all about? What is the moral of the story? What do you think, Roy? What is
Yeah,
is
well,
he's
he's not feeling the affectivity. He's just trying to control a situation that, in an abstract way, in reality, it's not going to happen, because water's the master. You know, water is nobody better than water in finding a way around something. You know, water's the master here. He's up against the master. He doesn't stand a chance in hell, and he's not feeling the affectivity. You know, that's the way I see it.
He's not worried about this just uncontrolled surge of something. Now this comes up. This has come up in some other dreams. You know, like we're not concerned that the homunculus is going to get eaten by the snake, because we're too worried about our medical bill. It's not we don't, you know, we're arguing about the amount of the medical bill, you know, and this has come up in a few times. I mean, there's two things that happen in Charles, you could correct me on this. there's usually two reactions. There is one of just apathetic, sort of not really dealing with the issue, but something that should possibly alarm us doesn't alarm us at all. The other aspect is this one, which, you know, I was talking with my wife about, is where there is a total meltdown in the dream. She was trying to think of a dream where she had this meltdown. But what do you think about that, Charles? Is the okay? Let's look at the dream where you were in the hallway. This wonderful dream where the mother, you know, it goes back to her hometown. She has a key that she's had since she's a little girl, and you go up into this this place she was before in the dark hallway, and there's one room with light under it, and she opens it up, and these people are incredibly angry men, and we think that she should be alarmed. She's not alarmed at all. This is what she's been used to since she was a little girl. This is the baseline of her relationship with men, you know, and yet we are trying. We just have a strange reaction function here. Strange reaction. Now, why is it strange? Is it because it doesn't seem to be in sync with what's happening? You know, whatever is happening, the reaction of the dream ego anyway is not really in sync with solving a problem, or it's just a victim of the problem. Now, there's been a couple dreams where you, more than one, where you go in and try to save the day too. So we've got all examples of all three possible reactions: apathy, going in to save the day, or just a total meltdown. Now, all of these are reactions to things that are happening to the dream ego. And so there seems to be those three reactions. What do you think about that, Charles? I mean, I think this is a very, very powerful image, but I'm not sure what it means. What do you think, Charles? You can often shed light onto these things.
So I don't know. I kind of see the water as like, you know, emotion, feeling, psychic energy, just sort of kind of life force, and I don't know, just like fluid expression of life. And I just intuitively feel like that, you know, I'm just sort of comfortable containing all the water there because, you know, that's the bathroom, it's private, it's sort of built to not receive like water damage like as much as other rooms would. So it's sort of built for water. So I'm just like, hey, as long as I can contain all this here, I'll be okay. I don't really know why exactly I'm trying to contain it. I know I've like had really like powerful kind of experiences of kind of like archetypal experiences where there's so much energy and feeling like flowing through that I describe it as like I have to turn on the emergency shut-off valves and just protect my ego from being completely inundated. But
Yeah.
either way, this water is getting out of the room one way or another. I don't really have the ability to keep it in there. It's, I don't want to say it's not a slow trickle out, but it's also not all pouring out at once. So I actually see the dream in a way as being pretty positive, because it means that at least the water's flowing a little bit into the other areas, which is what I think should happen. But I don't know. I just, for some reason, want to keep it, compartmentalized and just in a isolated, kind of, I don't know. I just want to keep it isolated for some reason.
Well,
I'm not sure what I'm worried about. I don't
compare it with
know.
the stingray dream. I mean, the stingray dream is where you don't have any water, you need water, and you don't have it. You need the unconscious to contain. Now, here's the other thing. It was a dream about containers. That you had containers all over the place. Every one of those had water in it for the puffer fish. The stingray could not find an adequate container for it, and so it was in danger. I mean, we had to just throw water on it, to keep it alive, and we were trying to come up with a strategy to find the right container for this elemental image of the self. Now in this case, there's no feminine in here, there's no self in here. All we have is sort of this prima materia, which we're afloat in. And I do say this, and I want to hear what Roy has to say about it. There is, what you say is the positive aspect you could say is that we are trying to deal with it, but instead of trying to find out where the water is coming from and find the shutoff valve. Now remember, weren't you the one that had this submarine dream? Yeah. Can you describe that submarine dream again?
Oh, that was when I was down there, and there's like some lady and a bunch of kids, and there's like a door that was shut and that we couldn't get through, and the girl said that it's because we were having a problem doing an image transfer, and then some explosive contraption was about to get set off, and I had to like deal with that because we were in such a confined space that it would have killed us all.
Yeah, so in that case, you have a little air bubble that's beneath the water, and there's this aspect of if that opens, then the water is going to come in and drown everyone. So it is a very interesting image. I mean, the unconscious is using this recurring image of containers and unconscious. Now remember too, the aquarium that the hamsters are always in. Can you recall one of those dreams? There's an aquarium, the hamsters.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many of those.
Just any one.
They all kind of blend together a little bit. I don't know. I remember one where I was just in a. Oh yeah, okay. So I was in a room with little aquariums everywhere, and I have a hamster cage on the ground, and I'm like, man, I got to get him into a different cage. My sister's like, oh, what about that one and that one? Like, no, those are aquariums. You can't go in there. And then somehow the cage gets dropped on the hamster, and he splits in half and becomes two hamsters, but the copy one didn't have any back legs.
Yeah, well, anyway, there's this, there's a, now the container, okay. what's the opposite of a container? That everything, things don't, I mean, there is this, what do you think the container means, right? You mentioned compartmentalization of something, but there's just this recurring theme of the container in Charles's dreams. Now, this time he's in the container, not the hamster or the pufferfish.
Well, the container is like going back to James Joyce. He had an appropriate container. His daughter didn't. He could take, as Charles says, the fluid expression of life and put it in his writings. His daughter didn't have that. Charles doesn't have that. Joseph Campbell says, follow your bliss. But in India, bliss means vocation. We have to find our vocation, what we can do. And that is the real container that we search for in order for the fluid expression of life to flow. And that's what we're looking for. And you're very lucky if you find it.
Yeah, there is it is something in here that, first of all, I think the unconscious is trying to tell us something. But it's interesting too. The Sanskrit word for bliss is Ananda. And there's three words: Sat, Chit, and Ananda. And Sat, Chit, Ananda. And Sat is being, Chit is awareness, and Ananda is bliss. And so there's I would say what is, let's just try. I'm going to try to summarize this, but I think we need to think about it until Wednesday, because we want to spend time, equal amount of time on Dawn's stream and on Roy's stream, but it is I think this is a dream of implication, of something. It is not exactly explanation type dream. It is a dream of, okay, the dream ego is coping, but somewhat like James Joyce's, but it's not finding meaning. It's just right now in sort of a custodial aspect. It's a custodian of the unconscious. It's the janitor of the unconscious. And it's not really using the unconscious in the way that it should be used. It's sort of just, managing it somehow in relationship. So really it's useless to us at this stage. I mean, it's just, but at least we're trying to be the custodian of it. I wanted to show you Lucy Joyce here. This is, she was quite a dancer. She's quite a girl, really. She has lots of pictures like this. She was sort of a modern dancer. Very, she reminds me a lot of my wife's sister Heidi, and also my cousin Keith. He is very talented, very charismatic, and yet it's just absolutely, there's this aspect of the ego is they're just this aspect of that they are helpless against the water. They are helpless in the water. Now, I think the water is there here. I don't think Charles is helpless in it. So anyway, let's think about it, and if you have any more thoughts about it, Charles, I'd like to hear what they are. Do you have the dream typed up yet, Charles? Okay, I will type it up too. Dawn. I think he's got it written down, but not typed. You know, so I usually type him up for him because I think all he has is the phone. You know. Okay, why don't we look at Dawn's stream? She was provided. I didn't read her instructions very well last time. What she really wanted to do was interpret this last section, you know, which is about Zeus. But let's just look at it. Did you want to read it, Roy?
Okay. Let's see. Catman keeps you safe. I see Zeus walking along a street. Zeus is a kid that used to play with my son when he lived across the street from us. I see he has lost so much weight and looks worn. He didn't look like the same kid, even in the face. He seems like he's terrified of something, so I ask what's wrong. Then there is this guy, and he is going to help Zeus feel less afraid. They are now on a balcony, and he tells Zeus that he is safe and picks him up and holds him over his head. Then I saw that what he was doing was even more miraculous. I had first understood as I realized his feet were not on the balcony, but he was floating and needed nothing to hold him up. He was that strong.
Okay, now this is really another Dawn. These dreams are so important. Okay, first of all, let's just look at the title. Catman keeps you safe. Now we hear. We don't know about Catman. Let's deal with Zeus first. We see Zeus walking along the street. This is a kid who used to play with our son when he lived across the street. Okay, now this is the growing masculine element, the growing animus within us, and its name is Zeus, which is the Father God. Okay, Zeus is the Father God. The planet Jupiter is father. It means in Latin, Father Zeus. It means, and Zeus is the word of Deus, D-E-U-S, where the word deity comes from. So the name, the word Zeus is where, is etymologically where we got the word God. And theos, too, comes from the word Zeus. Okay. So this is this growing animus, the one who brings us meaning, or the energy within us that is going to bring meaning to our lives. This is what the one who is close to the earth requires meaning to be at. Nature needs meaning. Meaning needs nature. They need both need each other. So usually if you are related to the feminine world, either as a mother or a daughter or a sister, what usually that means is you're very close to the earth, very close to Eros, very close to the related world. But what you lack and need is where men lack earth, lack Eros, lack the related world. That other side lacks what the man has, which is the ability to differentiate and to categorize. And in this case, it's the categorization of unconscious material and to bring it into our awareness and to add meaning to it, purpose, to life. It's the whole idea is we don't live a purposeless life if we have have meaning, you know. I mean, that was what who's that guy that wrote Viktor Frankl? You know, he was in Auschwitz, you know, and he says, anyone who has a why to live, you know, is going to be able to survive something like Auschwitz. What you need is to have a why, you know. And anyway, so that aspect is what sort of is the potential here. But no, this young animus is emaciated and worn. So this growing thing within us is undernourished and worn out. And I say it's worn out from trying to establish a connection with us. You know, I mean, we're not giving it the nourishment it needs, and it's because it's like ET. You know, when we don't give it attention, it grows weaker and weaker and weaker, and also has no food from our attention and our awareness. Now, he's not familiar to ego. I mean, his face is not the face we know, so he's not really familiar. Though he represents this figure that we knew in the outer world, really not so. You know, he's not familiar to us as the neighbor, and in his most conscious aspect, which is his countenance, you know, his face, you know, is not familiar to us, even though he's sort of has the this name of this person that we used to know, who really just is symbolizing the growing masculine aspect of the animus. Now he looks terrified about something, and we ask him, what is wrong? Okay, now his existence, his very existence, is under threat from our inability, either just unable or unwilling to give him the required attention, somewhat threatens his existence. You know, he's growing weaker and more undernourished all the time. And he doesn't seem to have any hope, okay? There's no hope because we can't provide him what he needs, okay? So yet there is a figure that can't do this, okay? And it is I would say it is the self, you know. It's either the self or it's the higher animus. So this might be the lower animus and the higher animus. The higher animus, the one that absolutely is qualified to act as meaning and is going to overcome all of our objections, appears, and and they now are at a higher level. They've moved up. Whenever they go to a higher level, that means they're at a higher level of consciousness. They're now on a balcony on a higher floor. This was brought about by the presence, organizing presence of this very capable higher animus within us. Our Redeemer, really. It's our Redeemer, you know. And he is, now he tells this Zeus, this young animus, that he's safe. And this figure shows symbolically that he will protect, and he holds him up. I will hold you up. Don't worry, I will hold you up. And yet, this higher animus himself, and we find this out, is not bound to the earth. You know, he is not he is not bound to the earth. We are earthy, you know, in our aspect of being close to the imminence of this moment. This is a very feminine aspect. The presence of this being in the moment is very feminine, and it keeps us close to the earth. And we're more concerned with those who around us who are near. You know, everything around us that's very near, we are very concerned about. The higher animus is not that concerned. He's concerned about things on other planets, celestial things, okay? And he's not bound to the earth and to the imminence of things that are near at hand, you know? So he's not bound to the earth, he's above it. And yet he's holding up this, up till now, terrified, emaciated, worn out, growing thing within us, and he's going to protect it for us. This is very important. Now the other thing is, he is covered with patterns. So what would you think that these patterns represent? They represent kind of symbols and signs. He's covered with meaning. Okay, and he's covered with logos. He's covered with they called Christ, you know, the bearer of types. You know, he was a symbol for many mythical images. You know, and this is and this character is covered with images. He's in, you know, the other realm is known as the realm of images, and he's covered with images. His feet don't touch the earth, you know, and he is upholding that growing thing within us, probably our divine child, you know, that aspect in us that is going to bring us into personality number 2. He is our personality number 2, and he's going to protect it and hold it up. What do you think, Roy?
Okay. This is just awesome. This is where I believe Charles and Don have something in common. Charles has this Viking that lives deep in his soul or in the unconscious, has tremendous power. He's trying to control it, compartmentalize it. He doesn't know how to integrate it into life. He doesn't have a vocation for it. And I believe Don has the same thing, the cat man. It's a phonic god. And if you listen to this video by Rihanna, who has, Don says, the man in it reminds her of the cat man. It's a very phonic video. I mean, Rihanna is very phonic, very, very connected to the earth. And so the child, Zeus, is the thing that needs to grow. And Dawn, like Percival, asked the right question. She's in the Grill Castle here. She says, what is wrong? That's what everybody forgets to ask. That's the magic question. That's why this dream is a huge turnaround. I mean, she might not be recognized yet or be conscious of it, but she asked the right question in the right place. What is wrong?
Yeah, what is wrong? That is perfect.
So this guy, the cat man, is an angel. He's not touching the balcony. Only an angel can do that. But it's a strange angel. It's a phonic angel, like Dionysian, not Apollonian, but Dionysian. And he appears at different places in her dreams. But that's the same as Charles Viking. She has this tremendous phonic energy in her, this goddess. She just like Charles isn't able to integrate it. She can't find her vocation. And that's what I see. I mean, I'm just amazed, but it's a big breakthrough here when she says, what is wrong? Because Dawn's the one that's going to have to heal this child. There's not going to be anybody to the rescue, and she's totally capable of it, and she's getting there.
Now, a lot of Dawn's dreams lately have been where it has to rescue something that's helpless, and so that is. What do you think about it, Charles?
Yeah, I mean, I see the child as potentially like a sort of sacred child, like God's child type deal, like a holy child, something that is very, closely related to, it's like the early stage developments of the God image in Dawn, are the early stages of her having relationship with it or realization of it. And the cat man is like, yeah, it's like obviously it's like its protector, but yeah, I think the cat man is interesting because he's like heroic, but he's not overtly, like, overwhelmingly masculine. He's like a little bit more, makes me think that he's a little bit closer to nature, or just a little bit more, he's like helping a little child like feel better and feel safe. And I don't know, that just doesn't make me think of some like Aries type god, but it's more of like a son of the mother type.
Yes. Dionysus
and,
was a good guess.
Yeah, it just makes me think that there's a really a very good portion of Dawn that's doing a great job protect and foster this inner God child within her, and that that it has a positive masculine influence on the child in the inner world. So can't really extrapolate like what it means or anything, but those are just my thoughts on it.
Well, and the answer to the question, what's wrong, seems to be answered by, now, if the fact that he's a cat man, first of all, he is related to, the cat is a feminine animal, it is unlike the dog, which is a little more masculine. The cat is a feminine animal, and he's covered with cat signs or something, and like that. And so he's representing the animal, that masculine animal God within us, and he also is celestial. I mean, his feet don't touch the earth, and he is going to, so when we ask what is wrong is this figure is lacking. Once this figure appears, then there's nothing wrong anymore. So in other words, this divine child and ourself can't do anything to protect him in his vulnerable stage, you know. But the one who can protect us is, yeah, the son of the mother. Now, it could be Dionysus, could be Hermes, you know, Mercurius, someone who is really almost half feminine, half masculine. Okay, and so we need both this very authoritative. My wife loves this, loves take charge men. You know, this is the take charge man. You know, and I'm not a take charge man, but whatever she sees the take charge man, she's very impressed. You know, and she's immediately finds she's immediately oriented and finds an anchor point. So this figure is I was wondering about that. I felt like the question wasn't answered, or I didn't realize that it had been answered. Okay, the question, what's wrong? So there is something wrong. The thing is that there's no protect. I'm just my speculation is that there's no protector for this vulnerable thing within us, this growing, our growing myth. You know, really, the child is represents somewhat our personal myth. He's this divine child, and it is under threat. It's not. It hasn't established any foundation or anchor point. And but then who comes to the rescue? Someone who can provide very much this anchor point, but not. He's even though he's feminine, he's also celestial. You know, even though he's a cat, he's also his feet don't touch the ground. I mean, there's this aspect of his floating aspect. And remember, that's what we really need is pneuma. And pneuma's feet doesn't touch the ground. Pneuma is this aspect of the spiritual life. You know, one that is basically is lighter than air. So it's not it doesn't have the heaviness that Earth has. You know, one time they asked Ramakrishna, you know, why there were no in his, you know, he was a great Hindu saint, and none of his adherents were women. He did have a couple, you know. But he was once asked why there are no women yogis. Okay, now a yogi, someone who's renounced the world. You know, he's giving up ego. He's giving up life in the outer world, and he's trying to become someone who is. You know, has escaped the realm of rebirth, and you know he's left it. So he basically becomes that person who drops out of Vishnu's mouth and sees him sleeping on the cosmic serpent. He's escaped Maya, you know, and so you know he's very celestial. And so they asked Ramakrishna why there weren't any women adherents. And he says, because they have too much life in them, too much earth in them. You know, where the man, you know, I was thinking about this morning. You know, let's just say, you know, that you embrace in not a sexual way, but a way of meaning. the feminine body and your body come together. And you just try to experience the fact that you're male and she's female. You know, neither one of you are, and you're trying to experience her. What you're experiencing in her symbolically, not literally, but symbolically. You are expressing the breasts and the generative region, and she above her pelvis has a built-in cradle for the life, because she's the life bearer. What do you have as a male? You have no connection with life at all. I mean, there's this aspect with you're not the life bearer, let's put it that way, you know, but that it gives you a certain freedom, but it also gives you, you're somewhat removed from earth and somewhat removed from life because of that freedom, you know. So anyway, I think that's an aspect. It is both a blessing and a curse, because someone who's separated from the earth needs to connect to the earth. If they can't be one-sided and be separated from the earth. That's what Jung told a woman about her Christ. He's all light and no darkness. You know, I mean, he can never be the total deity, because the total deity possesses both sides. But anyway, Roy, do you have any more thoughts about it? I mean, I'd like to come back to this Wednesday if I can think about it.
No, I did my little sermon.
Okay.
I'm sticking with it.
All right. Charles, you had any more thoughts about it?
Not necessarily. I mean, this was the ending of the really long dream, right? This was just the last section of it.
Well, this is the one she
Okay.
wanted to amplify. The rest of it, and I would like to bring this in Wednesday. I didn't have time to do it today, but I would like to find out some. Dawn is saying these are hints, you know, and I want to try to find out where they are hints, because I think they will shed light. She said, to the extent that they can shed light on this stream, I'm including these, you know, because it was a part of a much longer dream. The one that was the most, the one that was the most compelling was the one that someone tells her that she is beautiful, and she recognizes that there is an aspect of beauty in her that is unrecognized. She feels it, but she's not sure others see it. So when someone does acknowledge the beauty that she feels, that we all feel in this, you know, Charles, you know, have this aspect of this, these wonderful, and Roy, you too, this wonderful, sort of a special relationship with depths that is so unique to you and to Charles, that you, what Joseph Campbell said one time, it's like you've got a $20 bill in your pocket. He says you might not ever need it, but it's nice to know it's there. You know, I mean, it's sort of a thing. I think in your case, Roy, especially, that it's been assimilated and integrated in your being, your essence, and it's a sort of a guiding star in your life. But yet, it is so related to instinctive nature. I mean, it's absolutely amazing, you know. And I think you're very right about the vocational aspect. The unconscious comes up; it's not organized, it isn't contained. Yet the ego, that we need more persona but before it is not so controlled. See, without persona, you know, we are sinking in the. First of all, persona is the bridge to the outer world. The anima is the bridge to the inner world. If we don't have persona, there is no bridge to the outer world. Okay, and so then we are somewhat immersed halfway up our chest in that unconscious. But anyway, let's think about it. Let's and Dawn will come back, and Charles will come back to these dreams briefly on Wednesday. But why don't we read Roy's dream here? Go ahead, Roy. This is
Okay.
recent.
Yeah, on the 18th of October, magic. I was in Key West and heading home. I had a stool chair with me. I could press down on the stool and it would hop up in the air. I was going down the road on this hopping stool. This little girl got my attention and invited me into her house. I was there with her little brother. The little girl was telling me things and speaking in rhymes. Her mother came along and was upset and threw me out of the house. I asked for my stool chair. She handed me a wooden cane. I went on my way, but I saw the little girl again. I took the cane and told her I was going to teach her magic. The cane started to extend out to several feet. And then Adelaide woke me up. It was in the morning. I was pretty deep in this thing. And dang it, what happened next?
Yeah, so you didn't have the end to it. Well, that's anyway, it's a good start. So now we're in Key West again. This is that place that extends out into the unconscious. I mean, it is a magical place. I mean, this highway and you got ocean on both sides, people living all along it. It's just I'm sure that people think it's sort of blah that live there, but someone who is a very unusual place. A home, a place of islands. And the fact that their geography is amazing. So we're there. We're in, and you're heading home. Are you heading to Miami or?
No, my house.
Yeah, to
in Key West.
In Key West. So when did do you have a house in Key West now or?
No, I had one for 27 years, but I don't have it anymore.
Okay, how many years ago did you move away?
11.
11 years ago. So anyway, you are in you are back in Key West. So the dream ego is now residing in this place, and it's returning to this home in that these islands that extend out in the unconscious. Now we have a stool chair with us. So this is the 3-legged or 4-legged.
4-legged stool, like a bar stool, but it was wood.
And you're carrying it with you, and you could press down on the stool and it would hop up in the air.
Like a pogo stick,
yes.
when you push down.
So it's a actual means of locomotion or of movement. So and it's a 4-legged stool. So from this 4-legged stool, it will move us through the unconscious, through this hopping mechanism. Now, a little girl, okay, this is similar to Zeus, but in this case, it's the growing anima gets our attention. So she kind of beckons us a little bit, or either overtly or covertly, and invites us into her house. Now you were there with her little brother, so it's the a little couple there, and the little girl was telling me things and speaking lyrically. Now, isn't this amazing? Someone who speaks only in rhymes. Now, you talk about magic. I mean, that is someone who everything they say is a rhyme. Now, you know, that was what Robinson Jefferson said was the sickness of this age, was when man began to write and to speak in prose instead of verse. You know, when all writing was done in verse, it was a different world than when all writing is done in prose. You know, and yet this girl, this young girl, speaks only lyrically. Now, her the mother comes along, and she's upset, and she expelled us from the Anima's house. So this was somewhat similar to this older feminine figure who expels Tim from places all the time. Are we ready for it? Is she too magical for us? Is the mother protecting this growing thing from our conscious attitude? Are we too conscious for this girl who speaks only in verse? And now we ask her for the stool chair. We don't get it. It's lost. We don't have it anymore. This way that we used to navigate. Instead, she gives us a wooden cane. So in other words, she gives us a, instead of having this four-legged stool, she gives us something that gives us basically three legs now, our two legs and then the cane itself. And then you went on your way with no stool anymore, but just this thing. And you, okay, she gave it to you for a reason. Okay. I took the cane and told her I was going to teach her magic. Right? I mean, you get this cane that you got from her mother. It's a magical cane. You know it's magic. And you're going to teach the girl who speaks only in verse magic. Okay. And what Jung used to say is what the ancients called magic, we call psyche. So what you're going to do really is to teach her psyche. So in other words, you and this growing anima who speaks only in verse are going to share in a teaching of the psyche, whatever the psyche is, what we can learn from the psyche. You're going to have her learn, and you're going to teach it to her. So you're going to really sort of educate the this growing feminine aspect in you with what you know about the psyche. Okay, so the cane started to extend out to several feet. Okay, after you said that, so now it's become it's growing. This is what imagination means, to magnify, and it becomes more lengthy, becomes it expands the psyche. It goes out and extends psyche farther than it did before. At that point, you don't know what happened next. But yeah, that's a great start. I'm just sorry we didn't hear the rest of it. What do you think, Charles? What do you think about this stream? We're going to have to kind of review it next time.
Yeah. I don't know. That's really interesting. Going from 4 to 1,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, the stool is magical. The cane seems to be magical too. I mean, this is like a dream taking place in the middle of like a fairy tale. It's
Yeah.
really, really cool. I don't really know. Makes me think of the Magician tarot card for some reason. Because he has a wand and he has like, I don't know if there's a stool in the card, but I know there's a table, a four-legged wooden thing. You don't sit on it, but I don't know. I'm trying to imagine myself in the dream and see kind of what I think by trying to experience the dream as much as I can just through imagining it.
You almost think the stool is alive, you know, and I think the cane is alive too. I mean, it's almost a living stool and a living cane. And the mother of the anima, even though she throws us out of the house, and we ask for something, she gives us something that might even be more important. Gives us it's kind of a magic cane, you know. I remember my niece always carried a cane around with her. She was always dressed up like a fairy princess. She would tell everybody, "Don't make me use this," you know. But what do you think about it, Roy? Because this is the very, very interesting dream, and very mysterious.
Oh, it's just a lot of fun. I'm just having fun. I mean, it's like the fluid expression of life is out and about. It's nothing trying to contain it. And kids are like that. The little girl's like that. She's a fluid expression of life. And we're having a lot of fun. And the mother, you know, she's sort of authoritarian. If we're going to have any fun, it's going to be orchestrated by me, you know, so
Yeah.
out of here. And
Yeah,
she didn't give me my stool. She just gave me a cane. It wasn't magic to her. It had no worth to her. And I turned it into something magic. And the little girl's back out because she's the fluid expression of life. She can't be contained. And here we are doing magic. That's all it is. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, you and the anima are collaborating, and what the stick really is it represents this pointed thing. So you're really bringing logos into the relationship. You know, this stick, this you know, it's a sort of a little bit of a tool of differentiation, and you're bringing it in to the relationship with the with this little girl. It's magical. So was the okay. See, what's the difference between the hopping stool and the pointing stick? You know, the cane. That's just, as Charles says, is just a one. And yet that one, even though, you know, you were supposed to have been punished, is not that much of a punishment. I think you've got, you still got the anima available. So, and well, I think we're, well, let's try to finish these up next time. I'm somehow a little yawny. I don't know. But Dawn, I want to spend a little bit of time on Dawn and Charles' dream, and then we're going to go deep in depth on Roy, and on Dawn's dream too. I want to bring in some of the other aspects of the dreams that went on before, the ones that are most relevant. And then Charles, hopefully you have a. Oh, I was going to mention, the reason Charles wants a kitchen is because he's a fabulous cook. Says you can just give him some rice and lentils and he will rock your world. You know, so he would be pretty popular there. You gotta remember he's really is a quite a chef. So anyway, well, thank you everybody, and we'll finish these up on Wednesday. So have a good evening. Okay, thanks,
All right, see you
Roy
Wednesday.
and Charles and Dawn. See you later.